Jesus, I don't even know where to start. Saints Row the reboot, remember that can full of rubbish? Well, it cost $100 million to develop and was a massive failure for publisher Embracer. Surprise, surprise. If only the developers over at Volition had actually listened to the widespread criticism that they received when the game was initially announced and, didn't mock that criticism. All of this could have been avoided, but here we are now at the predictable conclusion, with Volition now part of Gearbox Software, Embracer out of a lot of money, and the Saints Row franchise forever tarnished. Another dud of a release, Forspoken, has also reached its obvious conclusion, with developer Luminous Productions ceasing to exist, as the studio is being absorbed into parent company Square Enix. It doesn't need to be said, but again seems obvious that Forspoken has not done very well, and that is largely because the game is just not very good. Unfortunately, the most memorable aspect of the game, which went viral, was its cringe dialogue.
I just moved shit with my mind.
I just keep hearing I.
I just move shit with my freaking mind! Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, talk to Send.
No! God, please, no! No!
A recipe for a disaster, especially with the behemoth of a release that followed just weeks later with Hogwarts Legacy, which has already sold over 12 million copies. Warner Brothers, the publisher behind this game, have already indicated sequels are on the way. There could be potential DLC in the next year or two, and the game has actually made over $850 million in sales. We'll have more to talk about in regards to what is very much the most controversial game ever later in the video, but it has become crystal clear that the massive boycott campaign just contributed to an even bigger launch and unfortunately damage to the movement that many of these boycotters were supposedly fighting for. Ubisoft has put all of their marbles in the basket that is Assassin's Creed. 10 games are in development, with seemingly quite a few of them having live service ambitions. Boy oh boy, we'll have to see how that goes. I'm obviously not very optimistic, but the company has bigger problems, such as their upcoming pirate sailing game, Skull and Bones, being delayed yet again. I genuinely don't understand why this turd hasn't been dropped yet, but everything indicates it's going to be a massive stinker. Industry insider Tom Henderson earlier this year indicated playtests have not gone well at all, and while Ubisoft has stated a new release date will be announced soon, along with them having the supposed improved version that the public hasn't seen yet. No, I'm serious. There's an improved version that they've been hiding from everybody, I guess. And I'm just of the mindset, I'll believe it when I see it. Now, another game that we have zero idea when or if it will actually release, Beyond Good and Evil 2, got yet another disappointing update. The long-awaited sequel, which has been in development hell for about 15 years, and the studio working on the game is now under investigation for labor violations. After 18 years, Ubisoft Montpellier's studio head has left the company amidst an investigation by French authorities into an unprecedented number of developer burnout and sick leave. Dozens of staffers reportedly left the studio late last year following extended periods of leave, which prompted the investigation. Besides the studio head, Beyond Good and Evil 2's senior creative director has also left, along with the actual game director. This is just one of those projects that I don't think will ever happen, as supposedly the game is still years away, and if it actually does release, I feel it'll probably be Duke Nukem Forever levels of bad. Hell, it actually mirrors that game's development and just seems forever doomed, plagued by so much chaos the last decade. Last year's Game of the Year, Elden Ring, is getting what everyone was hoping for, story DLC. Why it wasn't announced on the 1-year anniversary kind of puzzles me, but Shadow of the Erdtree is actively being worked on. From Software has offered zero details about the DLC besides this teaser image of what appears to be maybe Mikola riding Torrent. Current rumors indicate that this DLC should be arriving after Armored Core 6 releases, which is rumored to be coming in either September or October. So maybe a holiday 2023 release for Shadow of the Erdtree, hopefully, and a reveal this summer at E3. Either way, I'm just excited for another journey in the lands between, one of my favorite games the last decade. Another game that I'm extremely hyped for is The Wolf Among Us 2. This is a different Telltale Games these days, with us soon to learn a lot about them with the upcoming Expanse game, but the continuation of Bigby Wolf's story is something I've dreamed of since I hit the end credits of the first game. Unfortunately, that wait will be a little longer as the game has been moved from 2023 to 2024. Telltale, making the announcement just the other day saying they want to avoid crunch, have faced staffing challenges changes throughout the pandemic and also recently switched the game's engine from Unreal Engine 4 to 5. Telltale's CEO furthermore told IGN, "If we put this game out and it's not ready, we're going to get torn to shreds," a statement that is very much true. They are making the sequel to a beloved award-winning experience and they need to get it right. If they don't, I just don't see the point in the resurrection of Telltale. To start off 2023, we have seen the collapse of many live service games that very few cared for. That includes Babylon's Fall, Rumbleverse, Crossfire X, Back 4 Blood, Knockout City, and Marvel's Avengers, to name a few. I just thought I'd take a moment and pour one out for those forgettable experiences. It truly is sad the state of this industry, with so many companies pumping these out like there's no tomorrow. Everyone wants their own Fortnite and GTA Online, but don't realize those are the outliers, the exception to the rule. What most gamers want is a complete product that is full of enjoyable, high-quality content available day one, not an unfinished, buggy, mediocre $60, $70 dumpster fire that may or very likely won't get better in the years to come. I still remember the first days Marvel's Avengers was teased. Everyone expected a grand single-player team-up game, but instead we got an experience that represents the worst of this industry, and often found itself riddled in controversy over its monetization and lackluster content. Fortunately, I do think the last couple of years of these live service dumpster fires and failures is giving greater appreciation for games like Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, and the Dead Space remake. Towards the end of 2022, there was a number of disappointing releases and troubled launches, but none were bigger than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which was bombarded with images, videos, and memes of the sorry state of the game. Buggy and dated, it didn't matter because Nintendo revealed in its debut month it still managed to sell over 20 million copies, which just goes to show the too big to fail state of the Pokemon franchise in gaming and why Nintendo has no real interest in fixing mistakes when all they've been is rewarded. It is indeed an unfortunate reality in which franchises like NBA 2K, FIFA, Madden, Call of Duty, and yes, Pokemon can release underwhelming, horrible experiences and still manage to make so much money. This is a problem within this video game industry, and it's really annoying seeing how so many of these developers exploit this. Square Enix's CEO Yosuke Mitsuda's quote-unquote pet projects were Forspoken and Marvel's Avengers. Yikes. Now he is out. Mitsuda also infamously was the leading figure within the company, going balls deep into NFTs and blockchain gaming, writing and arguing in a New Year's letter last year that the market currently has gamers, traditional gamers, who want to play to have fun, but in the future he hopes for a market of play to contribute and earn, something he views as helping to make games more exciting. Exciting for who? That's a great question because it sure as shit isn't gamers. After a year in which NFTs and blockchain took a nosedive, Mitsuda reaffirmed his commitment for Square Enix to go all in on this technology. Now though, he is gone, and whether or not the company will continue pushing forward down this route is unclear. One company that may actually be gearing up with their own NFT plans is Sony, as recent discovered patents have raised eyebrows and concern. Last November it was uncovered Sony was working on an NFT marketplace and system that would allow PlayStation players to digitally trade or sell NFTs and potentially use the unique items in-game. Another patent was discovered just this month which outlines how Sony wants to rent NFTs to players and stream spectators. One just has to hope that these plans end up not actually happening, as the controversy over this would be enormous. Still though, this is the Jim Ryan era in which he's made clear he wants PlayStation to expand beyond single-player experiences. That obviously includes movies and shows, but also live services. Let's just hope not this blockchain nonsense. Grand Theft Auto 6 is a real game. We actually saw quite a bit of it last year. Obviously it was all leaked material, but it gave us an early look into the ambition behind this game. The surprising thing though is that GTA 6 still has not been formally announced. This is something we all expect soon, but for now Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar, continues talking about the impact of those leaks. CEO Strauss Zelnick recently telling investors, "We take leaks very seriously indeed, and they disappoint all of us. It's really frustrating and upsetting to the team. However, as a business matter, we're not affected. But as a personal matter and an emotional promotional matter, our teams are affected. While we await official details for GTA 6, it looks like 50 Cent, rapper and gaming icon, may have teased his involvement. Alongside an image of Vice City, 50 Cent wrote on Twitter, "I will explain this later, Greenlight Gang, this shit bigger than Power, trust me, boom." And for those unaware, Power is his TV show. Rockstar Games does have a history of working with rappers, such as recently Dr. Dre with GTA Online, so it's not absurd to think that Rockstar is in fact working with 50 Cent in some capacity for the next GTA game. Although, some are skeptical about this and believe he could just be trolling. Regardless, I'm of the mindset we should be learning sometime this year about the next GTA installment, which is rumored to be aiming for a release in late 2024. Always online is something I really think should be outlawed for a single-player game. Yes, even those that have co-op modes. Both Redfall and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League made the announcements of needing an internet connection to play the game recently, being met to universal dismay over the decision. Specifically with the latter, Suicide Squad has bigger problems, as the game appears to be the next live service disaster waiting to happen, which may explain why Rocksteady's founders and studio head jumped ship a few months ago. Rocksteady crafted the award-winning Batman Arkham games, and now they basically made their own version of Marvel's Avengers. Albeit the story does look more interesting, but doesn't change the fact that the gameplay looks like a giant mashup of Agents of Mayhem meets Anthem, Marvel's Avengers, and Gotham Knights. Not an encouraging sign at all. Also, the fact that Captain Boomerang's go-to weapon is a shotgun is just hilarious. Suicide Squad's recent gameplay presentation featured everything we didn't want to see: a battle pass, bullet sponge enemies, level tiered gear, hero-based loadouts, the generic looter-shooter RPG UI and mechanics, downgraded graphics, mindless hack-and-slash action, and the promise of tons of more heroes and content to come. In other words, a whole bunch of red flags. As you might expect, this gameplay was met to an overwhelmingly negative reaction, as every video showcasing this footage has been heavily downvoted, with top comments such as, "I don't know why this industry is convinced people want these co-op shooters. I'm more excited for the cutscenes than the game. Suicide Squad really makes you feel like wanting to play another game. They worked for 7 years on this. This feels like Gotham Knights if Rocksteady made it." And last but not least, the fact that this is Kevin Conroy's final performance makes this whole thing hurt more. 8 years ago, Warner Brothers reportedly rejected Rocksteady's pitch to make a Superman game. Instead, we got this, a live service game that feels about 5 years late to the did not meet sales expectations party. The last couple of months of the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, and Sony drama has been kind of nauseating. It's a constant back and forth, seeing a lot of fanboyism fighting online about this, saying that this deal needs to be killed, no, it needs to go forward. At this point, I don't personally care all that much, although Activision, Blizzard under Bobby Kotick for the foreseeable future continue. I just hate that idea. I would love Activision, Blizzard, all of these IP, these companies to no longer be under that giant turd of an individual, but there are some encouraging signs that this deal is going to go forward. But again, the last couple of months, just absolute chaos. We saw Microsoft signing a binding Call of Duty deal with Nintendo, seeing Call of Duty games running on a Switch, gonna sound like an airplane playing those games. I just don't know how that's actually going to be something that's feasible unless it's like those Call of Duty Wii games back in the day. You know what I'm talking about. They were horrible and huge. Like, they didn't sell well because of how much of a downgrade they were. But Nintendo, I'm certain that they could use some third-party games like Call of Duty. Hopefully Microsoft does it justice, but right now I'm not too optimistic about that. We've seen Microsoft's executives going to Europe and trying to really hit at the point that PlayStation owns the market. And the one thing that they won't talk about is that back in around 2012, 2013, they were pretty darn even until Microsoft absolutely blew it with the Xbox One, but that's a discussion for another day. We did also just see a lot of hypocrisy from Sony, in which they've been talking about how a lot of Call of Duty players will switch to Xbox because of potential exclusive features, you know, the things that right now are in place because Sony has a huge deal with Call of Duty that I believe ends in 2024, assuming that the Activision Blizzard and Xbox merger doesn't go forward. But it's funny, just a lot of hypocrisy with both of these sides going back and forth. We did see Phil Spencer say that Xbox will exist if Activision Blizzard's acquisition is blocked. Yes, there is actual reporters saying that Xbox could potentially be sold off sometime in the future if Activision Blizzard is not acquired. That is just a crazy idea, crazy thing that I cannot see as a real possibility at this point in time. Now, we did also see Phil Spencer do a recent interview in which he talked about that there's no example in Bethesda of us pulling something away from the PlayStation community. Here's the complete clip of what he had to say.
But there's no example in Bethesda of us pulling something away from the PlayStation community that they had,
zigzag on it.
or games that people are playing, not us not continuing to update those. I'd say the same thing with Minecraft Dungeons and with Minecraft.
And this is certainly a big old technically true, because if this deal hadn't gone through with Bethesda, Redfall and Starfield certainly would have been available on the PlayStation 5. That is just, it's certain. And the thing is, there's a big difference between the games that exist right now, like the Fallout 76 and the Elder Scrolls Online's, versus the future, because a Fallout 5 isn't going to be on the PlayStation 5. The Elder Scrolls 6, Microsoft's made it pretty darn clear it's not going to be on the PlayStation 5. So basically, the existing games like the Fallout 4s, Fallout 76s remain on the platform. They have not been pulled. But future games of these franchises, that's going to be a different story. So technically, Microsoft has not pulled anything, but they will be pulling these franchises from PlayStation in the near future, and that specifically has caused ire with many of these regulators. Now, we also have seen Microsoft just downplaying the importance of the Elder Scrolls 6, saying that it's a mid-sized game compared to Call of Duty, which I guess, but is this going to be one of the most successful games whenever it does release, whether that be 2027, 2028, who knows, but it's just very interesting how Sony and Microsoft have really, the arguments that they've made has been kind of laughable at this point. The good news is that all of this drama hopefully will be coming to a close in the near future. I haven't really been jumping into this, giving too much of my input because it's just a constant back and forth. We've seen analysts saying that it should go through, but who knows? But we did see an exclusive from Reuters just the other day saying that Microsoft's set to win EU nod on Activision with licensing offer, sources say. And the belief is that once EU regulators approve this, we should see similar compromises, similar deals made with the other regulators, whether that be in the UK or the FTC in the USA. What will these actual remedies be? We don't know at the moment. This may just be all of the Activision Blizzard library being available for PlayStation for the next 10 years, but we'll have to wait until we see the fine details and whenever everything is actually agreed upon. But one thing is quite clear, just get Activision Blizzard away from Bobby Kotick. We've actually seen even more drama with them recently, in which the company was accused of illegally firing game testers who opposed a return to the office. A major union says Activision retaliated against outspoken workers. This union actually supports this deal being accomplished because nobody wants Bobby Kotick anymore. They want this horrible human being to be gone. And we've also seen China finally give Activision Blizzard the boot, as Overwatch 2, World of Warcraft, and Hearthstone were shut down in China back at the end of January, ending a 14-year partnership. The Chinese company NetEase actually tore down a World of Warcraft statue outside its headquarters in an apparent symbolic gesture aimed at Blizzard. NetEase's head of partnership said, "One day when what has happened behind the scenes can be told, developers and gamers will have a whole new level of understanding how much damage a jerk can make." You can guess who that jerk is, but it's just funny, all of the sucking up that Bobby Kotick and Activision Blizzard has done the last couple of years, and they've just completely lost the Chinese market, which is why they definitely want to make sure that this deal goes through. We've also seen other reporters and such saying that Activision Blizzard's extension that they offered NetEase was viewed as being rude, unreasonable, and commercially illogical, so that is why that partnership is no more, and also just seems to be a general hatred for Bobby Kotick. Again, to me, find this all laughable. Anyway, this whole saga hopefully will be coming to a conclusion soon. Activision Blizzard has been very much making it known that they want this deal accomplished. They've been really going after Sony, saying that they're not actually even returning any of their calls. We even saw another Activision Blizzard executive mocking Sony's responses to Xbox's buyout. So let's just hope that indeed a conclusion is nearly upon us, because again, all of this drama has been kind of childish and exhausting to cover, and again, a constant back and forth these last couple of months with constant new updates, constant new accusations, and so on and so forth. Whether people want to admit it or not, Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest releases of 2023. Whether or not it gets that recognition later on this year when all of the Game of the Year awards are being handed out by the various publications, we'll have to see, although I honestly think it's very unlikely, just based on all of the outrage and controversy that we've seen over the course of the last month. But yeah, Hogwarts Legacy has not slowed down at all. We saw Games Done Quick banning Hogwarts Legacy and all other Harry Potter games. We've seen a number of streamers go viral with clips talking about the harassment, the attacks that they've experienced just for playing or showing any little itty bitty support of playing this Harry Potter game, you know, a video game. Many attributing it to actual real life crimes, saying that you are contributing to the genocide. Guys, I just don't know how anybody's jumping to these conclusions. It's just truly astonishing in my opinion. But the one thing we have seen is a lot of gaming outlets coming about with their negative reviews for the game. This is something that we all knew is coming. We saw Kotaku with their negative review. We saw Polygon and a couple of other outlets, including also Vulture. That was another one. It's these low scores that we knew were going to come in, and that's why WB was very picky with who they chose to get review copies before launch. This was something that I've talked about before. Not surprising, especially considering how we knew that these specific outlets would react to this game. You know, not reviewing the actual game, but instead concentrating on the Harry Potter book author J.K. Rowling and her controversial views. We actually did see an Avalanche Software developer respond to one of these reviews, specifically the Polygon one, kind of mocking it, and the responses that they received, it's as you expected, just with everything that's been going on with this game. Pretty awful things people had to say. Now, an interesting update that we do have in regards to this situation involves girlfriend reviews. Some of you might remember we talked about a couple of viral clips a couple of weeks ago in which the girlfriend of girlfriend reviews was crying because she was being attacked in their chat for playing Hogwarts Legacy. Some people just posting nasty, horrific things about them, making lies that they weren't really progressive and calling them bigots and so on and so forth. You kind of get the gist of it. We saw various gaming outlets, including The Gamer Stacey Henley, the editor-in-chief, I believe, of that outlet, pretty much saying that these were crocodile tears, they weren't really being attacked, and they reviewed the chat room and for some reason downplaying and not even talking about how, you know, a lot of the nasty comments were likely deleted, but they made it out to be that the girlfriend reviews, they were just lying about all of this. And we finally did see girlfriend reviews respond. They posted a video, I think it has almost 1 million views. It's a 4-minute video, it's pretty quick, but they show proof of people literally saying they wanted to dox them just for playing Hogwarts Legacy. They additionally posted messages in which users called them TERFs, bigots, pro, that P word, the 4 letters, I can't say that in this video or to get demonetized, and also individuals on the r/gaming circle jerk subreddit got their Reddit accounts suspended. Definitely not a hate campaign that all of this is going on. Definitely not at all. We can't talk about that, I guess, because yeah, certain outlets don't want that narrative to be spread around. But what's interesting is that P word accusation. You want to know where it originated? It's actually The Gamer, once again, the same Gamer article that we talked about in the previous video, and it's because they said the following. Ultimately, they were accused of supporting bigotry by supporting J.K. Rowling, but then when even explaining reasons against supporting the game is bullying, what does it even matter? The clip also included a defense from the streamers of Roman Polanski and Michael Jackson and complains that they have a target on their back for being allies, so should have credit in the bank. They also called trans people the alt-left, which feels like a mask-off moment to me, but hey, they're allies, right? Now, here's the actual clip of girlfriend reviews and what they said, in which the boyfriend of girlfriend reviews talks about the pianist. He does not at all say anything about showing any support for Roman Polanski, and girlfriend reviews calls this slander, and I would agree.
Damn, like, it's just a video game, and she didn't fucking sit down and make this game herself, and I'm not even sure if every single copy, like, any money goes to her. We've expressed millions of times, fuck her. It's like, do you like turn off, like, Billie Jean or Beat It in the car when Michael Jackson comes on? Like, do you know, like,
maybe, but
do you not think that the
like,
pianist, the pianist has wonderful lessons, you know, and is a great movie despite like what Roman Polanski did?
But regardless of that, it's just like there's no way.
This is so much more disconnected than
there's
those
no
things.
way to be a perfect ally to everyone, and we're trying, and I know we're not perfect allies, and we could be better, but we're doing something, and I feel like maybe that should be encouraged and not discouraged, you know? Like,
yeah.
Maybe be happy that,
dude,
we're doing something, and I'm not asking for praise, but I'm asking not to be attacked.
But indeed, a lot of people are pushing and hoping that legal action comes about with this situation because of just how enormous all of this has gotten. We saw a couple of months ago that a J.K. Rowling critic actually was forced to apologize after posting nasty things about her after a lawsuit threat. She had responded to this individual saying the thing about Solicitor's Game is everyone can play. JJ, I ignored your hyperbolic metaphor about burning me. You get the point of this tweet. And this individual did end up apologizing. And BBC Radio actually actually had the gamer Stacey Henley on the air, and they were forced to apologize after she railed against J.K. Rowling and called her a that type of phobe. And they said that we fell short here. So a lot of people are pushing, thinking, and hoping that a lawsuit comes about against these outlets for the slander and a lot of the just nasty things that we've seen about the last couple of weeks. Really just showing that this gaming industry has serious problems with how they cover games, you know, especially because they don't want to cover the actual game, and just going to great lengths to make crazy accusations without actual proof. Regardless, Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest games of 2023, and as far as I know, The Gamer has not adjusted or fixed their article at all to girlfriend reviews. All of those accusations are still there. We're still seeing them being blasted on social media with arguably defamatory remarks that originated because of The Gamer's horrific coverage of them. And it is worth mentioning, in Girlfriend Reviews' own video, they did confirm that they donated to the Trevor Project, and they actually pointed out that they disagreed with J.K. Rowling's views, but again, none of that at all matters to the hate mob that has been going about the last couple of weeks, slamming, condemning anybody and anyone for playing Hogwarts Legacy. Anyway, things are starting to heat up here at the early part of 2023. Hopefully some exciting things to talk about on the horizon, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below on all the stories that we talked about today. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games, and again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.